there's also, like, it's important to mention, I guess, that there's a lot of stuff that that my friends can do that I can't necessarily do, and you've got to sort of remember, I always just try to put myself in the person's position, so I think anybody who actually has a head in the game will always keep their eye on what everybody else is doing. And sometimes you pay people too much to do that and they don't do a good job, but it's not.
It's a whole other story there, isn't it?
Story, yeah.
Now, talking about friends that have been your friends for years, how have they adapted to your success and your change of lifestyle? Because I've seen live these conversations where someone's like, what have you been up to? And they've been like, oh, I've been playing Wembley, I've been doing this. And then they think that they're bragging, but they're just talking about what their job is. Have you ever had anything like that where they think that you've got an ego even though you haven't got an ego? Or
again, I guess it goes back to what I was saying about I have a pretty small circle of friends. Like, I'm to other people, actually that's the wrong way of saying it. It might seem like when I'm out, because I'm saying hello to lots of people, that like I've got a massive group of friends, but there's not many people that are, who I know on a day-to-day basis are legitimately my friends, yeah. and vice versa. So with those people, I don't really need to tell them what I've been up to, mainly because they already know, or the fact that that's just not, we don't really talk about work when I'm out with my friends. Like, we have so many other things in common that we don't really need to. And even people that I'm friends with in bands, like Wilson from Def Van is one of my best mates, and you know, I lived with him for a year, and I think there were times obviously where we have like deep chats about music, and you know, but for the most part we had other things in common that it didn't really matter. So he could come off a tour playing Shepherd's Bush or whatever, and I come off a tour playing Ali Pali, and we're not trying to draw comparisons from the two, because they're two different bands on two different paths, and it's like, you know, and he somebody like him would know that I wouldn't be aiming to brag. And then also my friends that work in the office and work 9 to 5 jobs at, you know, sort of whatever it might be they're doing, again, they know that when I'm asking them questions about their work, I'm genuinely interested, and if they want to ask me, it's an open forum. But there's also, like, it's important to mention, I guess, that there's a lot of stuff that that my friends can do that I can't necessarily do, in the sense that, you know, if I'm away for 9 months of the year, I'm going to miss a lot of birthdays, a lot of social things or whatever, and they're always there, and they've got the luxury to, you know, just sort of almost, they know what their schedule is Monday to Friday, they know the set thing, whereas I don't really I didn't really know what my schedule this week was until probably Saturday afternoon, where I sort of figured it all out, and that's difficult for some people to work with. But again, I think with every relationship you've got to sort of remember, I always just try and put myself in the other person's position. So again, I try not to talk too much about what it is I'm doing, but then also, you know, yeah, it could be like, oh, I've just played Wembley, but then there's also a whole load of a long old list of things that haven't been great about working in music, and some are to do with being on tour, some to do with the nitty gritty of the people you have to meet, because I have no doubt in my mind that there's some horrible people working in offices in London, but some people that work in the music industry, like, you would not want to be in a room with them on a normal day. So yeah, so I guess we all have our moans, and we all sort of, that's the thing with me and my friends, is we all celebrate each other's highs with the same sort of level of importance, whether it's me doing something great or my friend just got promotion. Like, it's the same, it means the same to both of us, and we also sort of get through the lows with each other, and that's the same, it's the same sort of attitude I try and implement with my relationship with my girlfriend or my parents and my sister. And I think that's really important, because then no one ever feels that there's more of an onus on what I'm doing rather than what they're doing. So I think that's the best way to have a relationship. You wouldn't have many friends if you were just running around going on about how great you were all the time, you know. So nobody really wants someone that's super self-involved, you know. Yeah. It's not that good.
Although you say, obviously, we're all in the same boat, all of us have jobs, we all have stresses, there is a lot of stress involved in being like the vocalist of a band in 2015. There's a lot of pressure. Is there someone that you turn to in particular that understands what it's like to be in that position?
not necessarily they understand the position of it, but I guess like I have great communication with my manager over a lot of things, my girlfriend, my parents, and again my friends, my close friends that I have. But you know, I think it's all any sort of trying time is usually, or whenever I think, oh, this is really difficult, I instantly just look back at highs and why perseverance is worth it, and why also not, you know, to keep your head above water is really important, and not really get completely overwhelmed, because really for the most part it's a great situation to be in. It's a great, like, I look around a lot of my friends who are musicians, and some are doing quote unquote better than me and some aren't doing better than me, if you were to look at it like that. And I think it'd be almost like a slap in the face with them if I sat around moaning all the time, because I'm sure they've got their own struggles and their own stuff that's going on. Just in the same way that if somebody who was in a bigger or more successful band than me was turning around to me moaning, so I'd just be like, oh, yeah, but you've got this, that and the other. So any sort of the hardships or whatever, you just try and really put into context, into, you know, I could be way, way worse off, and it could be, I could be in a position where, you know, I don't know where the next bit of money is coming in to pay my rent, you know, and I'm not. So I have to look at it and look at it objectively, and just always try and think, yeah, this might be difficult to me, but in the real world, it's, you know, just because it's my world doesn't mean it's, you know, the real world sort of thing. So I always try and look at it with a bit of a contextual sort of value, you know. So.
Talking about making comparisons, is it hard when it's essentially a numbers game in terms of sales and followers? Is it hard not to get that competitive streak because you look at other bands and go, oh, they've got more followers than us now?
Yeah, sure. I think there's always, I think anybody who actually has a head in the game will always keep their eye on what everybody else is doing. And I think anybody that acts like they're not bothered about it are probably lying, because just in a sense, because, you know, there might be people in bands who, for example, have more followers on Twitter than I do, but when they come through to London, they are going to play in a venue 4 times smaller than I am. So they might look at that and go, well, you know, and there's always going to be other people doing other things in different ways. And actually, something my friend said to me the other day, he was like, we were talking about work and like looking just about that and comparing things. And he was like, something I've realised about life is sometimes there's nothing wrong with just sticking to your lane. So like knowing what you're good at doing and focusing on what you have to offer is a better use of time than looking at what everybody else has got, whether it be better or worse. And I really like that, because I think, yeah, you probably could spend a lot of your time, you know, searching online and looking at other stuff. And also, to be honest, an online presence isn't really the be-all and end-all of the success of a band. And it also is very sort of, it also sort of comes down to how you measure success for yourself and the people you work with. Like if a success is for you is to be, you know, for a song to go viral or for you to be massive on Instagram, then good for you, and that's what you want to achieve. Or if your success is that, the way you measure your success is that you have no sort of social media sort of presence, but yet you can go and play great shows all over the world to any number of people, then that works for you too. So, but again, I would say that some of the more business savvy people in the industry will look at that, and definitely people in labels look at it, and definitely, you know, the industry side of the people look at it, and I think the creative people may dip their toes that sort of ideology, but I think for the most part, creative people just concentrate on making the music and stuff. I think.
You don't want to get too bogged down with numbers.
Yeah, it's sort of let other people. That's what you pay other people to do, you know.
Yeah, true.
So, and sometimes you pay people too much to do that, and they don't do a good job. But that's not
a whole nother story.
Another story, yeah.